Arizona State football has to be one of the best stories in college football. You have a 34-year-old coach in his second season in the college football playoff. It's crazy. I'm going to talk about that and more in just a second. But first, welcome to the channel. I'm Brian. If things look a little different, it's because, well, I have a different setup for right now, but you never know what I may do. You know me, I'm like a 3-year-old in Chuck E. Cheese. That's my attention span. I'm just sporadic. If you like to support someone who is an independent who has the attention span of a 3-year-old in Chuck E. Cheese, I hope you will subscribe to the channel. It is free. Here, let's dive into Arizona State. In Phil Steele's preseason preview, I think that's double speak there, he picked Arizona State to finish next to last. Other people picked Arizona State to finish dead last. But Kenny Dillingham had a little something different in mind. This is a guy who went to school at Arizona State. He grew up in that area. He has said over and over, Arizona State is my dream job. Now, for you Sun Devil fans out there, I'm serious. I'm not being crude or a jerk. But there are jobs out there that people would say is their dream job. For some, it would be Southern Cal, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. But there's a lot more places that it's not really that dream job. But it was for Kenny Dillingham, and y'all are reaping the rewards for it. Kenny Dillingham took this team at 34 years old, and they're now in the college football playoff. They have a bye. Texas doesn't have a bye. Ohio State, Tennessee, Penn State, my Tigers, they don't have a bye, but guess who does? Arizona State. Let's talk about this season right now. They're 11-2. They just won the conference championship. They thumped Iowa State 45-19. It could have been worse. So they start off the season with a win over Wyoming 48-7. They played Mississippi State, who's not that good. They won by 7 points. They barely beat Texas State, and you're like, there we go. They lose to Texas Tech 30-22. Really didn't make a mark on college football. No one's really paying attention. You beat Kansas. Then you beat Utah, a team who a lot of people would win the conference. They thought they would win the conference, but guess what? It was bad this year. I'm just going to leave it at that. Then you turn around and you lose to Cincinnati by 10 points. And it's just kind of like, After that, you beat Oklahoma State, UCF, Kansas State, BYU, and then you throttled your rival in Tucson, 49-7. And suddenly, the stars had aligned, and Arizona State is sitting in the conference championship. It's like, what the crap just happened? These guys are in the conference championship. Now, I will tell you, and I have the receipts for it. You can go back to my video from this past Saturday. It was the conference championship day. I picked Arizona State to win the game. Now, I'm going to tell you, I didn't know much about both teams, but I'll tell you what I did believe in. You're a coach. There's just something about the guy that is infectious. I know nothing about Kenny Dillingham other than he's young, and he has got to where he's at right now. He's had multiple stops. It's very impressive. The guy started coaching when he was, about 17 years old? No joke. He worked with Arizona State, Memphis. He became the offensive coordinator at Memphis in 2018. He was the offensive coordinator at Auburn. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach with Florida State. He and Mike Norvell have a great relationship that I know of. He was the OC in 2022 at Oregon. And then he became the head coach in 2023. Let's talk about, let's just kind of play catch up for some of us who really don't know that much about Arizona State other than that 1996 season with Jake the Snake. And we know that they've had some solid seasons here and there. You would have to go back to the 70s when they were winning what's that, Western Athletic Conference, something like that. Please forgive me for missing some of these terminology for those Arizona State fans. But if you go and you look at last season, Kenny Dillingham inherited a mess. It wasn't like things were thriving and young Kenny comes in and messes it up. Nope. You would absolutely have to love this school and truly see it as a dream job to want to take over. Last year they were 3-9. The season before that they were 3-9. The season before that in 21 they were 8-5. The season before that it was 2020. They only got to play 4 games. They were 2-2. In 2019, before the world got turned upside down, they were 8-5. They had Herm Edwards, former head coach in the NFL. Everybody knows Herm Edwards. I want to say that some games, some wins had to be vacated over a certain amount of time. I heard about that. I'm not going to harp on that because we're, here and now. But Kenny Dillingham takes over this team. He gets through the whole 3-9 thing. He's picked by most to finish dead last in his new conference that he's in. And he gets transfer Sam Leavitt at quarterback. He goes and he gets this guy. But he gets Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo was at Sacramento State, an FCS school. And they get this guy and he comes in. He's a story. He's a video all by himself. 5'10", about 225 pounds. The guy comes out and you can't tackle him. He's like a ball of muscle just moving across the field. Iowa State still hasn't tackled him. He's still running. And for some of the Arizona State fans out there, you're like, but you're forgetting this guy, you're forgetting that guy, overlooking that guy, and I probably am. I admit I don't know a ton about your school, about your program. Other than you're in the college football playoff. You got the bye. You did. And that is unbelievably impressive. So I just wanted to talk about Arizona State for just a second and say, 11-2, they win their conference, they get the bye. They obviously, if you look at their scores, as the season progressed, they got better. You watch that Iowa State game. They came in with a fury against Matt Campbell and just absolutely drilled that team. I'll give you some stats for some of my stat buddies out there. Their leading passer, obviously, Sam Leavitt, 2,663 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Old quarterback Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech, all us ACCers remember him. He transferred out there. He transferred to Nebraska, and then now he's there at Arizona State. Cam Skattebo, I talked about him just a second ago, 263 carries for 1,568 yards. He's averaging 6 per carry, 19 touchdowns. Sam Leavitt has 5 touchdowns on the ground. Jordan Tyson is their leading receiver with 1,101 yards, averaging 14.7 yards per catch, 10 touchdowns. Cam Skattebo, 506 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gilroy, I think that's his name. Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. Xavier Gilroy, 5 touchdowns. They've got some really good players on the team, and you can tell why they've done what they've done. Going down to the defense, they got Miles Rouser, 93 tackles. Keith Abney II, 3 interceptions. Going down to the defense and look at guys like Elijah O'Neal with 4 sacks. You got Clayton Smith with 4 sacks. You have another guy, I'm not going to even butcher his name out of respect for he and his family, with 3 sacks. Alfred McCullough with 2 interceptions. Robinson with 2 interceptions. Welch, the DB, with 2 interceptions. I mean, you just got guys sprinkled throughout who has multiple interceptions. And here's this team is, I mean, they just really came out of nowhere. They did what they did, and I think it's a really good story for us to kind of step back at this time of the season. The dust has kind of settled. We know who's in the college football playoff. We know the seedings. We know who was left out. We know who fell apart. We know who was bad and supposed to stay bad, but Arizona State was a team who was supposed to be bad. But they didn't stay bad, and congratulations to them on being, in my opinion, one of the most interesting and inspiring stories of this college football season. So, folks, tell me, Arizona State, what are you thinking about them? Are they going to move forward once they meet the winner? I think it's of the Texas and Clemson game. I want to say whoever the winner is of the Texas and Clemson game gets Arizona State. Will they move forward out of that game? And is this one of the best stories in college football? If not, or if you think so, but someone else, let me know who that is. Maybe it's Army. Maybe you want to talk about Army. Let me know in the comments section. Be sure to subscribe if you like to support independence. You like that sort of thing. I hope you will subscribe. Remember, it is free. A lot of you have started doing that, and I really appreciate it. Y'all take care of yourself. Congratulations to Arizona State. But as always, as I end all of my videos, go Tigers.